Welcome to the Weeknight Vegan. Dive into the world of delicious plant based weeknight dinners. Join me in the kitchen as we whip up some mouth-watering vegan meals in no time. Sometimes we have vibrant stir fries, and sometimes we have hearty pasta dishes. But understand this, we've got your weeknight dinners covered. Now, if you're not a member of the family, please subscribe for more easy vegan recipes and some dinner inspiration. Tonight, I wanted something absolutely decadent, and I thought, why not prepare a delicious French onion soup? And so I thought about that. But that involves a lot of dicing and slicing. So we're going to get to it. We're going to get about 3 pounds of onions sliced up, and I may have a few left over, and we'll save those and get those prepared for another night. But let's get those onions taken care of. I've got my uh, pan that I'm going to use, which is my Dutch oven. I've gotten that nice and hot. And we're going to add about 2 to 3 tablespoons of plant butter in the bottom, because the secret to really good French onion soup is the fact that we have to caramelize the onions. And we can't do that in a hurry. It takes time and patience to get those onions exactly the way you want them. So we need a little butter. We're going to use our plant butter in order to do that. As with any recipe that you prepare, seasoning is necessary. So we're going to start early. We're going to add just a little bit of house seasoning in and get these onions stirred up so that as they caramelize, they're also going to be taking in good flavor. Caramelizing your onions takes time, and you have to just give it the time it needs. Make sure that you're stirring every now and then until your onions are pretty brown. And once they get to the brownness that you like, and you're going to notice that we've got lots of volume at this point, but once these onions have caramelized, the volume is going to reduce drastically. Once your onions have cooked down, then you're going to add a bit of flour. Now, we're not going to use regular all-purpose flour. We're going to use our measure-to-measure, one-to-one flour, which is really more of a rice flour based. But it is plant-based and it is gluten-free. So that's what we're going to use tonight. And we're going to add a couple of tablespoons of that in. The reason for adding the flour is the fact that we need to thicken this just a little bit. And only adding a tablespoon or a heaping tablespoon of our flour is going to give it the texture of the soup that we want. I absolutely love the fragrance that bay leaves can put into a dish. And this little bay leaf just one, is going to add a certain amount of umami to the French onion soup. We're going to let this flour and onion mixture cook just a little while, because we really do want to kind of cook the flour taste out of the dish. And it's going to add a wonderful flavor and texture to our French onion soup that's going to take us to a restaurant style soup. Now that the mixture has had a chance to cook for a few minutes, we're going to start to add in the liquids. And it's going to come out with a nice, thick, smooth soup. Not too thick, but it's going to have a good texture. So we're going to add some red wine. And when we add red wine, of course, it's going to be any red wine that you drink. And so just go in your closet if you have it and add that about a cup of red wine. Taste it, taste the mixture, and then decide whether or not you want to add a little extra. Now we're going to follow the red wine with a box. And I'm telling you now, we're going to need a box of vegetable stock. And you really do want vegetable stock if possible. If you only have vegetable broth, then enhance it a little bit with your better than bouillon because you want that intense flavor. French onion soup is not something that you cook every day, and mainly because of the fact that it does take time. And because of the caramelizing, you want to make sure those flavors are there. And it's going to have a little hint of sweetness. So you want all of that to be right there in your mixture. Now, because we're fixing it at home, we can add a little extra something to our soup. And I'm going to kick this soup up another notch. I'm going to do that by adding a little bit of really, really good balsamic vinegar. If you have balsamic vinegar, not the dressing, the actual vinegar, then you're going to want to do a few shakes of that in your French onion soup, and you'll be amazed by how it changes and improves the flavor of your soup. We're giving our soup a really good stir because at this point we want to taste and see whether or not we need to add either a little more wine or we need to add a little more balsamic vinegar. And so be sure to stir well. And my soup is on kind of a medium temperature because I don't want it to boil away. I just want it to stay hot. So we're going to put a top eventually on this and let it simmer low for about 10 to 15 minutes to really get nice and hot. Then we're going to take it up another notch because we want our French onion soup to be just like the French onion soup that we have at the restaurant. Now I have some melted plant butter that I'm placing on my gluten-free bread. And I'm going to take these little pieces of bread, put them under the broiler, let them get nice and toasty and golden brown, flip them over, and let the other side get golden brown as well. And when I take those out, we're going to be ready to put our soup together. These oven-proof mugs are going to be used for the soup. We're going to put the soup in them. We're going to lay the bread on top, and then we're going to cover it with some plant-based mozzarella cheese and put it back into the oven so all of this has a chance to get nice and toasty. Is your mouth watering yet? Mine certainly is, and I can't wait to get to my soup. But before we go there, I want to remind you that if you're not a family member, then certainly please hit that subscribe button and click that like button too, because I want to know whether or not you like the type of content that I'm uploading. Now, I love being in the kitchen and I love having you here. So I hope that you'll be a part of the family and stay with us weekly because we do these kind of things all the time. 2 different dishes that I'm going to prepare in advance for the family this week. Now, the first crock pot is going to be full of a vegetable soup. I am going to try my best to get at least 10 vegetables into this crock pot and to make a delicious soup. Now, nutrition, color, all of those things is going to go into this particular crock pot. Well, hello. You can see today we're going to be working with 2 different crock pots. And the reason for that is because of the fact in this crock pot, I'm going to prepare a Southwestern, I'm going to call it a Southwestern rice grill. Okay, that's where I'm starting, Southwestern rice grill. And we're going to put that together in this crock pot. Now, this particular crock pot is only going to cook for on high for about 3 hours. And it will come together very quickly. Now, this crock pot, I'm going to actually let cook a little longer because I want all the flavors and the vegetables to be delicious. And when it gets to the texture that I want, I'm going to cut it off. So that's where we're starting today. So let's put the soup together. The one that's going to take the longest, that's the one we're going to start with first. Now, I showed you this particular little crock pot that I picked up as the perfect size for a family of 4, and maybe even 5, depending upon who those 4 and 5 are. If they're little people, you can probably get it even further. But anyway, we're going to start here in this crock pot. Okay, I've got my boiling water going because we're going to need that, but I want to make sure that I have my crock pot on. Okay, I've got it on. I'm going to let this one cook about 6 hours. So we're going to, like I said, we're going to start this one first. So I'm going to move this one out of the way for now, and we're going to work on this particular pot of soup. Now, my hot water is ready, but I'm not going to put that into the crock pot just yet because I want this crock pot to get a little warm. But I'm going to start with some chopped green peppers. I like the flavor of that. And we're going to open those up. I've got everything waiting over here, and I'm going to put half of the package in the crock pot. The other portion is going to go into the other crock pot when the time comes. All right, so that's half the package of frozen green peppers. I'm also going to, I noticed that I had some hashed brown potatoes. I use hashed brown potatoes quite a bit in my soup preparation just because of the fact that, you know, you want to be able to put your soups together quickly, and sometimes you just don't want to have to do all the dicing. So I have about a 1/4 of a pack of hashed brown potatoes that are in here. And they're nice little cubes. I love that. I'm also going to add in some kale. And I'm going to put in, probably about, let's see. But you know, kale's going to cook up. So I used about 1/3 of this pack of frozen kale. And I'm leaving that handy just in case I decide to use it again. Now, I'm starting out with the mixed vegetables. I had 1 pack of mixed vegetables that needed to be used. So I'm going to put those in. Now, once these start to cook, I may actually add some additional mixed vegetables in. But for right now, it's really hard to tell because of the fact that things are frozen. They need to cook down. So I'm thinking I'll probably add just a little bit more mixed vegetables into this particular pack. Now, so we are almost up to 8 vegetables. Now here I have a small pack of zucchini blend, and it's both green zucchini and, of course, yellow squash. So I'm going to put half a package of this into the mix. You know what? I think I'll do all the package. Okay, because that's going to be good, and that's a small package. All right, let's put all of this away. Now, on top of that, we're going to add some Costco Mrs. Dash, no salt. Let's get that first. And we're going to put in about, I'm using a teaspoon, and we're going to put in 2 teaspoons of Mrs. Dash. Because, you know, the thing about cooking plant-based, first of all, you have to re-envision something or a dish or a recipe that you really love. You have to think of a way to be able to bring it forward into your plant-based cooking. So this happens to be one of the soups I used to make, and added chicken and those kind of things into it, and chicken broth. But now I have to look at it a little different. So I've got 2 teaspoons of Mrs. Dash in. Next, you know me, I need a little heat to it. So I'm going to add a little pinch of pepperoncino. Now the pepperoncino is just going to lift the flavor. If you're sensitive to heat, then don't add that. But I'm going to add a couple little pinches of pepperoncino into our mix. And I'm going to keep those handy because I'm going to need it for our Southwestern blend. Now here I have my house seasoning, which is a mixture of black pepper, garlic powder, and onion powder. And I'm going to add at least 2 teaspoons of my house seasoning into our soup. Okay. Now, I'm also going to put in some vegetable stock. I'm going to shake this up, and this is a 32-ounce container of vegetable stock that I'm going to put in. And it may be that later, once I look at this soup, I may actually add a little more. I think I have a partial box that may be in the refrigerator, and I'll probably add that in as well. So I have put in an entire box. And I'm looking at this already thinking that we're going to need just a little bit more. Yep, we're going to need to add a little more. So I'm going to use probably about a half a box of our vegetable stock to bring it up, because I want to be able to bring it up to where it's almost at the top of the vegetables. Okay, now that brought it up, and so that was a box and a half of vegetable stock that we've added in. I'm going to leave this vegetable stock out because we're going to need it for the other recipe. Now we've got seasonings in. We have our vegetables in. Let's see, we had yellow squash, zucchini, onions. Oh, that's what I didn't add, the onions. Let's get some onions in here. I've got a couple of cups, or actually a cup and a half of onions that I diced. I'm going to put those in. I get my spoon, get those onions down in there. And I think I'm going to add a little mixed garlic to this, just to give it a little more flavor. Now remember, I want this to really cook. Let me get that minced garlic. Okay, we've got mixed garlic. I'm going to add in at least 2 teaspoons, because a teaspoon is equal to a clove of garlic. And I want at least 2 cloves of garlic. So that's 1 and 2. 2 cloves of garlic that I've put in. And I'm going to leave this out also because we will need it for the Southwestern Grille. Okay, so we've got our garlic in, we've got our seasonings in, we have our vegetables in, and we're going to turn this on and on high, and we're going to let it cook. I'm going to start it out a little higher so that it can really start to boil, and then I can cut it back. So we're going to close the top on this. This is our almost 10 vegetable soup. And actually, we'll have to count because I'm almost sure I got to 10 vegetables. I decided to taste the soup in midstream to see if I had left anything out or if it needed some additional flavors. And this is what I decided to do. The one vegetable that I always like to have in my soups is tomato. And I left tomato out. So I decided to add tomato paste. So I added 1 small can of tomato paste. And this is the little small can of paste. I'm trying to see if I can get the size. This is the 6 ounce can of tomato paste that I added in, as well as I'm going to add a little bit of Bragg's liquid aminos because I think it needs that little kick. So I'm going to put in, let's see, 1, 2, of course I could have just drizzled, 3, I'm going to add in 4 teaspoons of Bragg's and let it continue to cook. And it's only been cooking about an hour. But it looks more like the vegetable soup that I really like. And let me now give it a taste and see if that brings it to where I want it. Oh yeah, that's much better. That was 4 teaspoons of Bragg's, and I may add another one in there just in case, one for the big guy. Vegetable soup. And you know what? We have 10 different vegetables that are a part of this soup. And I can't wait until the evening comes and I can actually taste this and see what it tastes like. So that is going. All right, let's get ready for the Southwestern Grille. We're going to put together this crock pot full of a Southwestern rice, I guess we'll call it a grill. And even though we're not going to grill it, we're actually going to cook it all in the crock pot because we don't have time today to just stand and watch it do its thing. So inside of this crock pot, we're going to add 1 cup, because I'm being conscious of how many people are going to be eating. I'm adding 1 cup of brown rice. Now that's where I'm starting. It does fit. Okay, this is a 1/2 cup measure that I'm using. So that's a 1/2. And let's get 1 more cup and a whole. Now, we need to rinse this off. So I'm going to take it over to the sink, give it a good rinse, and bring it back. Okay, we have our 1 cup of rice rinsed and in the bottom of the crock pot. Now, what we're going to do from here is that we're going to start to add in those vegetables that are going to add the flavors that we want. Now, we're going to start with some green pepper. Green pepper is a good item to add. So I've got in the rest of the package, which there wasn't really that much left in this little package, so we're going to need to add some more. So I have a mixture of red and green peppers, as well as I also have some onion that's in this mixture. So I have these already prepared. So I'm going to take the top off of that. I'm going to put those in. Okay, so they are in, and let me get a spoon here. We're going to give all of this a good mix because the rice is going to cook in all of these flavors for our Southwestern rice grill. All right, now Southwestern flavors need lots of flavors because, you know, when you have that taco taste or that Mexican taste, you know, it's full of some serious flavors. So I'm going to start with some cumin. And, you know, I always advise you, now, I'm cooking for my family, so I know what they like. But when you're cooking for your family, you'll have to decide how much of that should I put in. Now, if you are a fan of cumin, then you'll want to add quite a bit. I'm going to start with about a heaping teaspoon of cumin to my mix. And that's going to give it the nice, deep, smoky flavor. I'm also going to add a little bit of oregano because that's very Mexican as well. And I'm going to put in about a 1/2 teaspoon of oregano. Now, you know, later when I taste this, if I decide that it needs something extra, then I can do this. So I've got the oregano. I'm also going to add in a little smoky paprika. And I'm going to add about a 1/2 teaspoon of that to our dish as well. Because remember, not only are we just seasoning the grill itself, but we've got to season that rice. And that's the part that's going to be a little tricky. Now, I also want to add in some minced garlic. I'm not going to put in a ton, but we're going to add about 1 heaping teaspoon of minced garlic. That's 1. And you know, that's pretty light for me because I usually get at least 2. All right, so we've got 1 teaspoon of minced garlic. Now, the reason I could go light is because I knew in my house seasoning blend that I have onion powder, garlic powder, and black pepper. So I'm going to add in, there's one, I'm going to put in 2 into mine. Okay, and if you are a little sensitive to any of that, please be sure to cut back just a little bit. And like I said, taste along the way. Now, I'm also going to add in a little bit of our Mrs. Dash mix, no salt. And because we're eliminating the salt and we're eliminating the oils, we have to kick things up because we want this mixture to be absolutely delicious. Now, I'm also going to add in some pepperino, and that's because it's Mexican, and I want a little flavor. So I'm going to put in about a 4 teaspoons of pepperino. Now, this is optional. That's going in. All right. Now, it's time to start thinking about our liquids. Now, remember, we had about a half box of our stock that we were going to use in our soup, but I'm going to use it right here, the rest of it over in our grill. Now, we had a cup of rice. Now, that's a half cup. And there's a cup. And I'm going to add about another half. Now, after this gets to cooking, if I see that I need a little more liquid, then I can always add more liquid to make sure that that rice is just on point. But we want it to be just right. Now, I'm also going to add some tofu into this because we need a little extra protein. And just because I kind of want that meaty taste in our mixture. You could certainly use mushrooms. And I might have to check and see if I have some mushrooms that are already diced and ready. And if there are, we're going to add mushrooms into this mix. Okay, we have our 1 cup of rice rinsed and in the bottom of the crock pot. Now, what we're going to do from here is that we're going to start to add in those vegetables that are going to add the flavors that we want. Now, we're going to start with some green pepper. Green pepper is a good item to add. So I've got in the rest of the package, which there wasn't really that much left in this little package, so we're going to need to add some more. So I have a mixture of red and green peppers, as well as I also have some onion that's in this mixture. So I have these already prepared. So I'm going to take the top off of that. I'm going to put those in. Okay, so they are in, and let me get a spoon here. We're going to give all of this a good mix because the rice is going to cook in all of these flavors for our Southwestern rice grill. All right, now Southwestern flavors need lots of flavors because okay, we've got rice, we've got some liquid, we've got our peppers and onions in this mix. Now remember, we want it hearty, so I'm going to add in 2 cups of chopped mushrooms, and I'm not going to put any tofu in at all. I think there'll be enough mushrooms in there to give it a real meaty, hearty taste. I'm also going to add in 1 can of Rotel tomatoes with green chilies. That's our Southwestern flavor that's going to be in there very quickly. So I have that there. I'm also going to add in 1 can of rinsed pinto beans. And I'm using canned pinto beans because this is going to cook very quickly. And I want to rinse that out well again. So I have those in. So let me give all of this a nice stir. Take a look at it. And got our garlic, got our rice, we've got our beans, and I just opted for pinto beans rather than black beans. Now, you can certainly use black beans, but I thought I would go with the pinto beans this time just because I had some and they needed to be used. Now, I'm also going to kick up that vegetable stock flavor by using a little bit of Better Than Bouillon. I'm going to use about a teaspoon of Better Than Bouillon just to give it a little extra flavor because when you're cooking plant-based, if it tastes bland, no one's going to want to eat it. So we're going to make sure we get lots of flavor into this crock pot. Now, the one thing that's going to be odd is that we're going to add a few olives into this mix. But I'm not going to put the olives in until later, until it's almost done. We're going to add some olives. That's going to add a little green and also going to add a little bit of salt. So I'm going to get those sliced up. And once those are sliced, I'll have them off to the side. I'll use maybe about a half cup of olives to add into this mix, which isn't I can't talk today, which isn't always in Southwestern meals, but that's what we're doing today. Now, one thing that I had not put in was our chili powder. Chili powder is necessary. So we're going to add in a heaping teaspoon of chili powder to our mix. So we've got that. So I'm going to give all of that another good mix. Remember, we've got our cup of rice in there. So it's got to, once everything cooks down, it's going to be amazing. And this is going to be a beautiful rice dish. So we've got all the flavorings in. That's it. Green pepper, we've got onions, we've got our garlic, we've got our rice. We have our cumin and chili powder. We have our Rotel tomatoes and the green chilies that's going in, as well as we have our vegetable broth that's in with a little enhancement by using the Better Than Bouillon to make sure that we get a good, strong vegetable stock, as well as pinto beans. And you know what I forgot to put in was the one thing that definitely brings it to a Tex-Mex is corn. So I have 2 cups of corn that's going to go in. So I'm going to just take a spoon, give all of this a mix again, and oh, this looks so good. I can't wait until tonight when we're going to be ready to eat this. So I'm going to give it about, I'm going to say 4 hours. And if it needs a little extra time, then we can certainly do this. But we've got everything in, and we're going to have a delicious Southwestern Grille right here. Now, let me just say, I'm calling it a Southwestern Grille because I'm doing it in a one-pot style. And I'm using my slow cooker, which is a crock pot. But you can do this on the stove. But if you do it on the stove, you're going to have to stand and watch it. And if you're like me, you have days when it's very busy, and you just don't have time to watch and to stand and to do all the stirring. So because of that, that's why I'm doing it in my crock pot. See you in 4 hours. We have had an amazing week in the kitchen. We have cooked a delicious vegan French onion soup, girl, that will put that restaurant soup to shame. We have prepared a 10 vegetable soup, And we also put together a Southwestern Grille. Now, if you like cooking and you like becoming more plant-based, then the Weekend Vegan show is going to be for you. I am looking forward to seeing you right here in the kitchen. And leave me a comment, hit that like button, and let me know your suggestions, because I really do appreciate it. Because remember, I'm new to this journey and I am trying to find my way. So, suggestions welcome. I'll see you soon.